It is with profound sadness that we, the Inglis family, announce the death of our beloved father, grandfather, brother, and uncle, Andrew Inglis, also known as Morris, and Vaval of Massad Grosley, who passed away in Brooklyn, New York on Saturday, December 30th, 2023, at approximately 6:30 a.m. He was 73 years old. He was a beach vendor and business partner of Bacchus Dorsey for a chair and umbrella service at Ragery Ramp, Rodney Bay, Grosley. He was predeceased by his mother, Mary Felicity Doris Inglis, also known as Miss Doris, Doy, Mum, and Mamoise of Massad Grosley. His father, Mr. George Peterson, better known as Pat George of Lastic Hill in Castries and St. Croix. Stepfather, Francis Lucy, better known as Moses Tommy or Mr. Moise of Massad Grosley. His brother, Raymond Felix Inglis of St. John Street, Grosley. Nephews, Hilary Ricky Cyril and Clifton Inglis of Massad Grosley. Left to mourn are his 4 daughters, Mrs. Isel Calix, also known as Aurea, of Dallas, Texas, Miss Sabina Charles, also known as Ophi, of Lafayette Moshi, Mrs. Sadia Inglis Mortley of Bossage Grosley, Miss Tonya Inglis, also known as Nadia, of Brooklyn, New York. 1 adopted daughter, Ms. Lorna Eugene of Moshi, Grosley. 2 sons, Peter Inglis, also known as Jason of Long Island, New York, Brandon Kyle Inglis of Queens, New York. 1 adopted son, Fabian Philip, residing in England. 4 sisters, Mrs. Clara Inglis Cyril Young of Brooklyn, New York, Mrs. Maria Piper Charles of Houston, Texas, Ms. Rosanna Inglis of Tido Fair Moshi, Mrs. Marjorie Stephen, also known as Rosemary, of Massad. 2 adopted sisters, Mrs. Cynthia Dawakasing of Roseau and her family, Mrs. Mary Lane Philmon, residing in St. Croix, and her family. 3 brothers, Peter Inglis, better known as Rabbi, of Massad, who was also his caretaker, Joseph Inglis, also known as Smiley, of Savanho Bogies, Michael Inglis, also known as Lance, of Brooklyn, New York. 1 adopted brother, Laurie Setut, residing in Martinique. 13 grandchildren, Nicole Inglis, also known as Meshia of Massad, Natalia Calix of Dallas, Texas, student at Texas Woman's University. Natasha Calix of Dallas, Texas, a student at Loyola University, New Orleans. Warren Inglis of Long Island, New York. Jade Inglis of Long Island, New York. Jacob Inglis of Brooklyn, New York. Aaron Inglis of Brooklyn. Micaiah Joseph of New Jersey. Trevon Phillip of England. Reuben Phillip of England. Sheila Mason of Toronto, Canada. Adonis Mason of Toronto. Dominic Mortley of Bossage Grosley. 13 nieces, Ms. Claudia Cyril, also known as Valerie of Brooklyn, New York. Mrs. Janice Cyril McKee, also known as Stacy of Brooklyn, New York. Miss Janancy Inglis of Florida. Ms. Heather Inglis in Toronto, Canada. Ms. Shiva Inglis in Germany. Ms. Emma Inglis in Martinique. Ms. Summer Inglis Bernard, also known as Perline of Grosley. Ms. Flavia Louisa, also known as Baba of Massad. Ms. Philomene Louisa, also known as Felicia of Grosley. Mrs. Emma Michaud of Massad. Ms. Miranda Antoine of Massad, Ms. Marietta Stephen of Massad, Anna Joy Inglis of Savannah Bogies. 13 nephews: Dylan Cyril, also known as Valence of Pennsylvania, Ronnie Piper of Houston, Texas, Gideon Inglis of Florida, Joshua Inglis, also known as Travis of London, England, Mervyn Inglis of Grosley, Cheyenne Louise, also known as Damien of Grosley, Christopher Louise, also known as Bobbin of Grosley, Alex Eugene, also known as Bucket of Grosley, Leonard Stephen, also known as Ashley of Massand, Augustine Stephen, also known as Sheldon of Massand, Curlin Stephen of Massand, Carrie Stephen of Massand, Josiah Inglis of Savannah Bogies, student at St. Mary's College. 30 grandnieces and nephews. 2 daughters-in-law: Mrs. Solange Inglis of Long Island, New York, Mrs. Crystal Leon Inglis of Queens, New York. 4 sons-in-law: Mr. Hayden Calix of Dallas, Texas, Mr. Turvan Motley of Bossage Grocery, Mr. Lloyd Evans of Moshi, Mr. Eddie Jr. Joseph of Lafayette, Moshi. 2 sisters-in-law: Mrs. Martina Inglis of Massad, Mrs. Avis Inglis of Savannah Bogies. 1 brother-in-law: Mr. Christopher Stephen of Grocery. Also left to mourn are his estranged wife, Antonia Inglis of Massad, the mothers of 2 of his daughters, Ms. Agatha Phillip, also known as Glory, of Brooklyn, New York, Ms. Julita Charles of Lafayette, Moshi. 1 uncle: Mr. Alan Peterson and family of Saltibus, Choiseul. Families: the Peterson family of Saltibus, Choiseul, Attorney-at-Law Evans Cauldron and family, the Cauldron families of Castries and Choiseul, his business partner, Mr. Bacchus Dossety of Deramo, Moshi. Close friends: Puscus Monrose, also known as Priscus of Labrie, Gregory Emmanuel, also known as Melton and Bascoco, formerly of Grosley, who resides in Canaries, Mr. Ensley Fontenelle of Grosley, Etta, his mechanic and neighbor of Massad, Emmanuel Albert, also known as Charlie Brown of Grosley. 1 grand aunt, Ms. Rose Inglis, currently a resident of the Marion home and family of Bizet Castries. Many relatives and friends, including Joseph Cadas and family of Sandy Fay, Marianne Cadas and family of Wavin Poisson, the family of his late aunt, Irene Inglis Cadas of Sandy Fay and Wavin Poisson, the family of his late uncle Clifford William Inglis of La Pensée, the family of his late uncle Clifford Preville, also known as Zozone or Akuju of Babonneau, the family of his late grand-aunt Agnes Inglis of Independence City, Castries, the family of his late grand-aunt Gladys Inglis of Mondador, Castries. Also the Inglis family of Balata, the Inglis family of Bocage, the Inglis family of Mondador, the Inglis family of Independence City, the Inglis family of Granivier Grosley, the Theodore families of Mondador, Castries, Granivier, Grosley, and V4, the Felicia family of Mondador, the Calix families of Suffren, the Motley family of Suffren, Mrs. Eulina Baptiste and family of Mondador, Mrs. Eufita Best and family of La Pensée, the Popo family of Grosley, all his beach vendor friends at the Ridgeway Ramp, Rodney Bay, especially Miss Priscilla Charles, all his friends in Dennery, Mabia Valley, and Olean, all his neighbors and friends of Massad, Casabah, the community of Grosley, and beyond. Also many relatives both here and abroad, too numerous to mention. The funeral for the late Andrew Inglis, also known as Morris and Vaval, will take place at the St. Joseph the Worker Catholic Church in Grosley On Monday, 5th February 2024 at 2 p.m., the body will be interred at the Grosley Cemetery. The body now lies at Lazarus Funeral Home, Vidwote, Castries. May he rest in eternal peace. Persons attending the funeral service are kindly asked to wear a touch of white, his favorite color.